My name's Alina Akbar, I'm 24 years old and I'm a visual artist from Manchester. I have Pakistani heritage and roots.
Okay, Alina, thank you for joining me. I'm going to hand you a card. If you could just read out the card and then tell me, as a creative, you know, what this means to you or what comes to mind.
It's passion. I think as a creative you have to have a lot of passion to really stay committed to something, especially like in the early building stages. It's the passion that fuels you, and I guess you also have to come back to that early passion when you start to burn out. Yeah.
And what would you say your passion is?
I've had a massive passion for documenting communities, documenting my own life and kind of archiving it in a very nice way. Yeah, so I think that's what my passion is, and also making meaningful work. So like the projects have to mean something to me. That's been a consistent throughout. Yeah. Next one is belief. I think, yeah, belief so important to have that self-belief. As a person, like, you have to think you're bigger than all these jobs. That I believe that anyway, and like people might tell you, oh, you should start here, but it's like, why can't I start there? Why can't I start big? So I feel like I have that kind of fire behind me for like that self-belief, yeah.
And is belief something you've always had in yourself, or is it something that you've built? Or those around you have sort of helped you build?
I don't necessarily think it's from those around me, because I feel like often people around you can have put doubts into your mind, so I don't really speak to people too much about what I want to do. But beliefs are always, I think when I've been quite young and been able to like make things happen for myself, I'm like, okay, so how can anything stop me? Yeah. Grind. Grind gets tiring.
That's a very honest answer.
Yeah.
And an answer that not a lot of people will tell you. Tell me a bit more about that.
Right, oh my God. The only things in my mind is like random half rap lyrics right now. But yeah, that's the thing I very, like, yeah, I feel like it's a state of mind that I have to put myself in. I've probably been in for so long. It's very hard to come out of it and just relax sometimes. Like everything doesn't have to be a business move or something, Alina. But like, not everyone's got it in them. Like, there's this whole thing of like, whether it's 9 to 5s, whether it's like being self-employed, whether it's running a business, each person's like grind is suited to different things, like, and that's not saying someone works harder than another person because they're in certain professions, or you may work for yourself, you may not, but like just the grind to want to do something, I think has to come from within you, because some people just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I do like the point that you touched on about it's tiring, because again, you know, the buzzwords, hustle hard, grind more, you know, it's the thing, you know, but, you know, I think we also have to remember that, like you said, not everything is a business decision, and sometimes it is tiring. When the grind gets tiring, how do you cope?
How do I cope? I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Grind more.
Yeah, grind more, because I mean, like 2 days off and I go and I'm like, what the hell? But what do I do? Like, I'm trying to find a hobby right now that isn't creative, that isn't, yeah. I think I don't know, you have to kind of learn your trade and know how to respond to everything around you. And I think I'm just trying to do that right now, yeah. Style.
And if I just elaborate on the style, like I said, these cards are about being a creative, so I feel that each creative has to have their own style.
Okay, yeah, I mean, definitely, you're a walking brand. That's how I see it anyway. And So you have to have your own style, you have to have your own. I've never thought of it as like a selling point, because it's like I don't want for people to think of my work in that way, or think that's the kind of response I want from it. But like, it's like, you gotta have a voice through what you're saying, and that's your style, like, but visually style, your voice, yeah.
And your style, do you find a common thread stylistically that runs through your work?
That's probably such a buzzword, but authenticity.
Okay.
Like, that's just when you're just making real things with real people, that's bound to happen. And when you're doing it in a way where it's not massively funded, there's no brands, there's no hidden agenda. It's just a lot of the time making stuff for the sake of my brain.
And as you've gone along from your inception of picking up the path that you're now on, have you noticed your style A, changing, B, developing, so where you can say this is an Alina Akbar piece, or are you still on that journey?
I feel, I like to think I've not had my peak yet. I hope I haven't had my peak yet. But I was even like looking at my photography the other day, and I was like, oh, it does have a style to it. Like, there is a certain way you like to shoot in the, because I was trying to think, like, if someone watches my body of work as a body, what do they actually see? And I did realise there is a style. But then it's like, is that style due to like limited budget, limited resources, limited access, but also, yeah, not to say that the work's any less quality, but more like there's a style that's been built out of circumstances
and necessity.
Yeah.
I actually love that. I think that's a great point, because, you know, for any, personally, I feel for any creatives watching this, that is a very, very important point, because sometimes, you know, we give ourselves these insurmountable hurdles where we're like, oh, but I need the $5,000 camera, I need the exact lighting, I need the this, the that. But, you know, from what you just said there, that, you know, from what you have might have dictated how your style has become. And then, you know, further along the line, because you've developed that style because of those things, you still use those little, you know, subtle nuances. Or you might say, actually, I want to use an old camera, for example, because that's what I had to use before. And then you sort of carry that through. So yeah, that's a really, really good point, actually. Perfect. And the last one.
Duty.
Yeah. So.
Okay, as a creative, I feel I have a duty to my community, not just cultural community, but like anyone who comes from a similar background to me, whether that like, not skin colour or not anything, just if you grow up like us. I feel like I have a duty to, within all my work, like I always think like, how can I bring that duty, like how can I put that at the forefront? Like, I even think if the bigger campaigns, like, how would I respond to, because sometimes it seems a bit unethical to me, like, huge budgets and things, and it's like, okay, how do I bring my duty for the community into this? No,
I love that. And again, you know, I knew that card you'd have a great answer for that, because again, I feel once you get to, as you're finding your place as a creative and you start really, you know, creating more work, I think there's a duty for every art, whether it's for, like you said, people who are like you. Again, it might not be, people like you could be from your ethnic background, people like you could be a woman, people like you could be young people, people like you could be, again, the area you was born, so on and so forth. So, you know, you encompass so much. So I feel that as creators, as we start developing and maybe getting further, and we have a duty to tell stories that are not just frivolous, and actually you know, if we see stuff that we don't like, you know, we can't go through life going, oh, that's really terrible, but none of our work shows it. So, you know, I think that's a beautiful answer. 5 great words, 5 great explanations and discussion points. If I was to ask you to give me a word, what word would that be and why?
I think as a creative, my word would be stubborn. Like, there's always a way to make something happen, and you can get told no in so many ways, and budget restrictions, or you can't happen. But if you're quite stubborn with your idea, you'll make a way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think stubborn is a great word because, you know, and it will go back to your point of style as well, you know, having that stubbornness. You could go, well, I don't have the camera, so maybe I can't do it. But being stubborn and saying, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And even if you have to use the broken down camera or the broken, dilapidated set, then that's what you're going to use. So yeah, I think that's a really great word.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've had 5 words plus 1 extra from Alina. Anything you would like to say to the people that you no doubt inspire, whether it's your future self, your younger self, your current self, and all those, you know, who are around that, you know, you've met? Like, is there anything you would like to say?
Stay grinding. Simple. Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah. And again, I think these 5 words, if you're creative, should help you have your belief, develop your style, you know, make sure you have a sense of duty, have your passion. Obviously that's where it all starts.
And don't like sit there scrolling too much, doing too much comparison, because it really is a very unique path of like to yourself. So yeah, don't fall into that trap.
Thank you so much. If you could just tell the people who you are again.
So yeah, I'm Alina Akbar. I'm a visual artist based in Manchester.